Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT news. Some big matches going down last night at the Champions Tournament and some massive reactions as well. Evil Geniuses versus EDG, especially some spicy words being said by Demon1 and Boostio after the series. Arguably disrespectful as far as some are concerned, but they will be advancing on in this tournament. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Just before we get into the action, wanted to mention on some Rostermania stuff. Leaf says expect the unexpected. We have seen lots of this lately from the Cloud9 canvas to exactly what's going on over there. Now, a few days ago, we've seen Cloud9 do a lot lately. We've seen Trent over there. We have seen Net over there, both from the guards. I think we saw Koala Nu over there as well a while ago. And then yesterday we saw that Zeppa was not playing with them. So we got Jake and Co playing, in a party with MCE and stuff like that. And then Zeppa's not there. So I don't know if this means anything at all. It must be noted that there have been some players that have said, well, during this Champions period, people, in order to scrim, have just been playing a pickup team of 5. So the Cloud9 guys might just say, all right, we'll scrim like Loud or something just to give them some practice and to give us some practice. But we'll just form a random team of 5 and play like a pickup team. This has been happening to play those scrims. But surely if you're a franchise like Cloud9, you might as well get the practice in with your full team, or at least a team that you believe might be a legitimate roster for next year. So this is why it makes me think that when we see Net and when we see Trent and these other players subbing in for Cloud9 to play a scrim series against one of the Champions teams, there maybe is a little bit more to it, right? Maybe there is a little bit of just trialing those players out, because otherwise, why would you choose players in that position rather than just go with your normal team? I don't know. It's a little bit interesting. So yesterday we saw there was no Zeppa, and there's been some discussion as to whether, they're going to make some other moves going forwards there, especially Cloud9, because they have been seen a lot, let's say, switching around their roster behind the scenes. So maybe there's something to be said about that, but we'll see after Champions is over and the teams start to blow up their rosters entirely. Now, speaking of Champions, we also got this update just before the first series of yesterday that one of the players on Direct, it was actually Mako, had tested positive and therefore had to, effectively sit out and play off the stage. There was some concern, okay, would they have to delay the series? Like, what would the situation be? Would Foxy9 have to come into the roster? But turned out they could make it work. There was no delays, and I don't know if Mako had been hanging around with the Fnatic boys too much, because that's always been their big concern when they go to these big international tourneys. And it started off so well for Believe Gaming here, right? Direct were in shambles. They were down 9-1. I think it was 10-2 at the half, right? And it looked like, damn, BLG, they might be legit. Yes, they lost to Fnatic, but they beat NRG twice. They're looking good. They're going to win the whole tournament. Up 9-1 on Direct, and then all of a sudden, the collapse began. And this collapse was just completely disastrous for BLG. Fair play to DRX as well, because you've got to say, DRX, one of their problems has been that in big series, in kind of playoff situations, they just had no composure. And okay, maybe as time progresses, it'll be more of a struggle for them. But this was composure. Down 10-2 first half. Your teammate isn't even playing with you on the stage. To bring back 11 rounds in a row to win the map, 13-10. And then to win another 7 in a row on game 2. I mean, have a look at this. Lotus, they were down 10-2 and then won 11 in a row to win the map 13-10. And then, great comeback from those guys, absolutely. And then on Haven, they win another first 6 rounds. They legitimately won 11 rounds in a row, or 11 plus 6, sorry, so 17 rounds, and BLG lost 17 rounds in a row. BLG, fair play to them, they made this respectable, but in the second half on Haven, it was all over. And the thing is, it's funny, right, is because Lotus typically is more attacking sided. Like, attack is pretty easy on that map, really. And we just saw all defensive rounds, which I thought was kind of wild. So BLG go down to the losers bracket there. DRX move on, impressively so. I think BLG have done a great job, really, in this tournament to be where they are right now. And, they will move on into the losers bracket, and their match out there is going to be pretty difficult. But fair play to DRX, especially that comeback game 1 was really indicative, I think, of the tournament that they're going to try and have here, DRX. And if they play like that, especially in those 17 rounds in a row, they will be a seriously impressive team to beat. Also with Mako's illness, right? I mean, he played very well given the circumstances, but they could be even better in the next round of play, assuming that they all get better and everything is okay. Now, speaking of this series, Edward versus EDG, this was the one that I was really looking forward to. I think everyone was hyped for this one. It really kicked off with Boostio's words a few weeks ago, where he says China will never be better than North America as a region, or really as a team. So obviously Edward want to come in here and beat EG. They've been talking a a lot of trash lately, right? They've been, hyping up the community to see a matchup just like this. And look, there was more interest in this match because of it, which is why we love this type of stuff going on. And it was going to be a great series. And it was a great series. I mean, game 1, it went to overtime. There were some rounds in here that EDG tried to throw. I mean, there was a 2v5 that EG won. Okay, I'm going to say EG and Edward just to make sure it's more easily clarifiable. But still, so EG won a 2v5 here because it's kind of classic Edward Gaming in some respects. They are so talented at aiming and everything, but when it comes down to certain decision-making situations and team play, they're not always the best. But they did win the game 1 in the overtime, and people thought, wow, here we go. Edward might take down EG and knock them out of the tournament. And after going down 4-1, I'm pretty sure EG on the ascent, they then bring back a massive performance and win the next several rounds in a row. There was just huge plays here from Ethan. I know that Ethan has got a lot of credit lately, and I think obviously for good reason, but even though Ethan has got a lot of gas in recent months and weeks especially, I don't know if it's even enough, to be fair. Like, there's an argument that says that Ethan really deserves way more credit than he even gets. EG come back and emphatically win the game 2 on Ascent, and then they take it all the way to game 3 on Pearl, and this one again wasn't even close. When EG really came to play here, their team play, their chemistry, their cohesion, the roles that they were obviously running on, Ethan and the team's like support flashes were just playing off each other so well. Obviously, after that somewhat questionable split composition, they came back with the fire, and yeah, Potter was really happy, and for good reason. So that was job done. Boostio waved them goodbye across the stage. Look, no doubt I thought that EG were the favourites coming into this series. I did say that EDG, or Edward, sorry, will, against teams that are such a well-oiled machine, shall we say, as Evil Geniuses presently are, Edward will have a hard time against those teams, and on the final 2 maps, that was most certainly the case. Now, I thought after the series, Boostio was going to be quite, I didn't think he was going to be humble, but first of all, he said that, Edward, a really good team, but we just destroyed them. So I thought, oh, he's going to be nice and humble here, Boostio, which is, there's a nice, sometimes there's a little bit of a dichotomy there when you get a player that talks a load of trash before a series and says, we're going to smash these guys, and then when they win, they say, oh, fair play to the competition, it was a great series and all this stuff, and we got a little bit of that before, EG and Boostio went back to their old ways of talking trash in their competition, right? And we got that especially. He also said that we're going to destroy DRX, so that's going to be the next series that I'm massively looking forward to and intrigued to watch. But this was the spicy statement that came up from Boostio after the series, saying that, for a Chinese team, they're really good. But I don't know, they're not very good, to be honest. Compared to most of the competition, KangKang was a disappointment.
Boostio, also coming from Snay from Sportskita. You've expressed quite a few thoughts on Chinese Valorant in the past. Would you say that your opinions have changed today after facing Edward Gaming?
No. They are really good for Chinese team, but I don't know. They're not very good, to be honest. KangKang was a disappointment.
Okay, we'll go next.
So this raised hell, really, in terms of people saying, wow, so disrespectful to KangKang. And okay, fair enough. You could argue it's disrespectful to single out a player in that way, given that, yes, KangKang is meant to be the star player, but is he necessarily wrong? I mean, let's be honest. Was he disappointing this series, KangKang? I would say yes. Especially the final map of the series, he got completely jet diffed by Demon1. And Demon1 just put them on blast. 67 frags for Demon1. KangKang had 42. And the final map here on the Pearl, 8 and 17. Demon1 was 25 and 11. So, look, that is disappointing, right? And it's kind of funny that Boostio was saying, yeah, like, he disappointed me in terms of I was expecting a better fight from him. And, yeah, okay, singling out a player in that way isn't necessarily nice, but that's the way that they roll, Evil Geniuses, right now. So it was 13-5 Ascent, 13-5 on Pearl. Game 1 was crazy, went to that overtime, right? And looked like EG were going to win it, especially after that 2v5, but it didn't happen in the end. And yeah, 2-1, but a pretty comfortable 2-1 for EG after all. And Demon1, then obviously, this guy, he don't care, does he? Let's be honest. This guy is cooking all the time. 2-1 Edward, frauds exposed, he says. So, I mean, he doesn't care what people think about him, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Assuming these guys next year qualify for Masters Shanghai, which is, we believe, going to happen, there's going to be eggs thrown at these guys. It's going to be getting in there is going to be a challenge. So, I mean, look, I just find all this drama and storylines fantastic, but, it's interesting that we had all the trash talk pre-series. There's some people that will, they'll only trash talk after they win a series, and then they'll talk smack on the other team. I respect that EG, they do it before the series as well, at least, so they do set themselves up for failure failure if they were to lose, just like Artist did when he was trash talking Billy, and then they got slammed out of the tournament 4-0 by them over the course of 2 series, and then you're going to get, that was a fraud exposed moment. But EG, they'll talk trash, they'll back it up, and then they'll keep talking trash, and it's going to make people not like them, for sure. But that's part of the game here. And look, if these guys were unanimously liked for what they're doing, that wouldn't be enjoyable at all. It's some people like what they're doing, some people don't. That's the whole point. So as Demon1 says, fraud's exposed. Some people therefore want them to win because they're talking this trash and backing it up, and some people want them to lose as a result. And that creates storylines, it creates tensions, it makes people want to tune in, and that's what it's all about. And Demon1 even went further on a couple of occasions. So Fion says, Demon1 was perfect on the operator. He had 15 op kills and no deaths with the op. And he says, I don't even like the op. So he's like, KangKang and all these guys that are using the operator, like, I don't even like it, but I'm still going to cook you guys with it. And then he even kind of quote tweeted this from game 2, where Demon1 got a lovely little ace here and said jet diff. And of course, on the other side of the station at the time was KangKang on the jet. So, yeah, really nice, interesting savers, let's say, for Demon1. And either they're setting themselves up for failure going forwards or setting himself up for massive success if they continue as they are, because this was a really impressive series from EG. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, the way they played the final couple of maps here, the team play, everything just seemed so on point, especially against a very talented team like EDG that is not easy to beat at all. Now, we did get this reaction because, okay, the Edward Gaming guys, whatever, they go down to losers, they'll try and bounce back and play those guys again. Maybe we get another EG versus EDG match at some point. It could still happen. But Sagetsu from Na'Vi says, people are so mean. Impossible to watch them just throw mud at a young man who is tryharding a lot and in the end's got to be better than these trash. Head up, bro, you'll show them. I guess saying to KangKang, these guys throwing mud on your name and all this, and, disrespectful from them. Which, okay, sure, maybe you agree with Sagetsu's perspective, but it is a little bit rich given the fact that it was, last year, right, September 2022, when against Xset there was this turret bug, and Sagetsu was tweeting all this about, these guys aren't demons, they're just losers. So he was talking trash on people, a year ago. And now he's trying to, kind of play the victim for KangKang. I don't really understand why or what he intends to gain from this. Maybe he just intends to gain some nice impressions here on Twitter, but, or x.com, apologies. But I don't think really people looked at this and took it particularly seriously, to be honest. So this is the way the bracket presently looks. Loud, Paper X, DRX, EG, advance onwards. What most people expected outside of Fnatic losing to Loud. So today we have the 2 losers bracket games, and I would say these are likely to be less interesting personally. The first one is Fnatic versus Foot Esports. It's just because both of these are in-region matchups, right? Fnatic Foot in region is a Fnatic matchup for sure, and Edward versus Billy in region is an Edward matchup for sure. So I don't know if there's going to be any crazy results here. I'm expecting Fnatic and Edward to win relatively comfortably, but still, anything can happen. There's been some wild results so far this Champions. So very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.